All right, so welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Today we're talking about something pretty interesting. It's about celebrities,
Okay.
and more specifically, celebrities that just don't like giving interviews.
Really?
Yeah, so we've got this great article here
Okay.
from 2Fab. It's called Nine Celebrities Who Don't Really Like Doing Interviews. And we're going to be going through these nine celebrities and kind of picking apart why they don't like doing interviews.
That's really interesting because, like, you think of celebrities, you think of the spotlight.
Yeah, you would think they would crave that attention.
Yeah.
But for some people, it can be a little bit too much.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so we're going to be talking about some of the deeper reasons why they're not really into this whole interview thing.
Okay, so who are we talking about here?
Oh, we got some big names on this list.
Okay.
Um, so like right off the bat, we've got Nicolas Cage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So did you know this? He actually went 14 years
14 years.
without a talk show appearance.
That's like a lifetime in celebrity years.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah? Wow.
I mean, it's a long time to be off the radar,
Yeah.
especially when you're, such a prolific actor as Nicolas Cage.
Right. He's always working, it seems like.
Yeah, he's always got something going on.
So it's kind of weird to think that he would be like...
Avoid the spotlight for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm curious what, brought him back after 14 years.
and we'll get into that.
Okay.
But, yeah, so it's not just about, these celebrities being difficult
Okay.
or wanting to be private or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a deeper reason,
Yeah.
and it's this constant scrutiny and pressure of fame.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and also like the need to control their own narrative.
I feel like that's a big thing.
It is a big thing.
With social media nowadays, too, everybody's got their platform and they want to kind of control how they're
Sure.
perceived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things that this article touches on is like the emotional toll of fame.
Okay.
And and also how these celebrities are trying to kind of shift the narrative
Okay.
in their own favor.
Yeah.
And the examples that they give is Beyoncé.
Beyoncé, okay.
Yeah, she's become very selective about interviews now.
Really?
And there's this quote from her. She actually compares herself to Nina Simone,
Oh, wow.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
And she says basically the obsession with an artist's personal life,
Okay.
it can distract from the way their art is perceived.
Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of like, let my work speak for itself.
Let the work speak for itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that comparison to Nina Simone is really interesting, too, because she was someone who was known for
her activism and her powerful voice.
Yeah, but also, really guarded her privacy.
Yes. Very, very private person.
So it's interesting that she's making that comparison.
Yeah, I think she's trying to make a statement
Yeah.
about artistic integrity and protecting creative space.
Yeah.
It's not just about avoiding gossip.
It's about, setting a boundary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And so it's kind of like a shift in the power dynamic.
Yeah.
Where celebrities are saying, hey,
I have control.
we're not going to let you just, dictate everything about our lives.
Interesting.
We're going to control how we're seen.
Okay.
And so one of the examples they give of this is the Olsen twins.
The Olsen twins.
They've kind of cultivated this aura of mystery around their brand.
Yeah, they're very private, it seems like.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
And they pretty much avoid traditional media.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're described in the article as discreet people, and they really put the emphasis on their work and not themselves.
So they're let the fashion speak for itself.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's interesting because
So you think that kind of adds to their allure?
it does.
By not being...
By not being so out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes them more intriguing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Olsen twins.
Okay.
And then you've got Taylor Swift,
Okay.
who she kind of went radio silent during her Reputation era.
Oh, yeah.
But then she came back
Right.
with a very specific message.
Yeah.
And she did it on her own terms.
On her terms. Okay.
Yeah, so she skipped all the interviews
Okay.
during that era. She let the music speak for itself.
Yeah.
And then when she did speak, it was on a platform like Apple Music,
Right.
where she had more control over the narrative.
That's interesting. So she was
She had the final say.
She had the final say in how she was presented.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So it's two different approaches, but they're both about control.
Yeah.
The Olsen twins choose silence,
Okay.
and Taylor Swift utilizes strategic silence.
Okay.
But they're both like, we're gonna decide how we're seen.
Do you think that this need for control is a product of like the 24/7 news cycle,
Oh, absolutely.
social media?
Yeah, it's relentless,
Yeah.
and it's hard to just be constantly on
Yeah.
and have people scrutinizing your every move.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely a reaction to that.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it's also interesting because it's a shift in the way that celebrities are engaging with the public.
Yeah.
They're not just these passive figures anymore
Right.
that are being dictated by the media.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're gonna have a say in this.
Okay.
So let's get back to
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Yeah,
The 14-year?
14 years off the grid.
What brought him back?
So he went on Jimmy Kimmel Live,
Jimmy Kimmel. Oh,
and it was a spectacle.
really?
It was amazing. He had the audience in stitches,
Oh, wow.
talking about
What kind of stuff?
like a two-headed snake he had as a pet.
A two-headed snake. Wow.
And then he had mime stalkers.
Mine stalkers. What? Like,
I know, it's Nicolas Cage.
oh, it's why?
What are you going to do?
Only Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. And
That's crazy.
then he also talked about winning a fortune gambling and donating it all to an orphanage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was just like,
That's pretty generous.
yeah, he had all these years
The crazy.
and just like let it all out on Jimmy Kimmel.
That's a great way to come back after 14 years.
Right. I mean, it was,
Make a splash.
yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
But the thing is, he did it on his own terms.
That's right.
He chose the time, the platform, the stories,
Right. So it's like he's in control.
He's in control. Exactly.
Okay, and now we're talking about the Olsen twins.
The Olsen twins, yeah.
They're like the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right.
So like how...
We're all about that privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the article talks a lot about their upbringing
Okay.
and how that really influenced their aversion to the spotlight.
Yeah.
So they've cultivated this whole mystique around their brand.
Right.
And it's like they're saying, we're not playing the fame game.
Yeah.
We're doing our own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have Beyoncé.
Yeah. Beyoncé, yeah. She's fascinating.
She's gone for like a very curated image.
Right.
She doesn't give a lot of interviews anymore.
Yeah, and she compared herself to Nina Simone.
That was an interesting comparison,
It was.
but it makes sense
It does, in a way.
because she's trying to separate the art from the artist.
Okay.
Like, focus on the music. Don't worry about my personal life.
Yeah, keep that separate.
It's like she's built a wall
Okay.
around her personal life.
Okay.
And it just lets the work speak for itself.
Right, and it's working.
It is.
It's definitely working.
Yeah, she's still an enigma.
And that makes her even more interesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Beyoncé,
Beyoncé, yep.
Olsen twins,
Olsen twins, yeah.
Nicolas Cage.
And now we're going to Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah, she's another one.
Another interesting case.
Who's very in control.
Yes, very calculated.
Yeah.
With her approach.
So she went silent during Reputation
Yeah.
and then came back.
Came back strong.
On her own terms.
Yep. So by going silent, she actually flipped the script
Oh, wow.
and made the media play by her rules.
Yeah.
She didn't give them anything.
Right.
And then when she did speak,
She chose the platform.
she chose when and where,
Yeah.
and it was very impactful.
I remember that. That was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big statement.
So it's interesting to see how these celebrities are really taking control
They are.
of their own narratives.
Yeah.
It's not the old days anymore
No, it's not.
where you just kind of had to do whatever the media told you to do.
Yeah, it's a new era.
It's a new era. Okay.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some of the other celebrities on this list.
Sounds good.
We've got Kate Moss, Frank Ocean, Joaquin Phoenix, The Weeknd, and J. Cole. Yeah, we got a lot to cover.
I'm ready.
All right,
Let's do it.
we'll be right back. All right, so we're back, and we're talking about celebrities who just aren't that into interviews.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they're kind of like pushing back against that whole system.
Right, and it's not just musicians and actors.
No.
The article also talks about Kate Moss,
Oh.
and her relationship with interviews has changed a lot over the years.
Right, because like she was known for being very open early in her career, but she's kind of like retreated from that.
Yeah, she was really open in the beginning, but then I think she got burned a few times.
Yeah.
Like journalists misrepresenting her words or taking things out of context.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
It is. It is.
Especially when your career is built on like image and public perception.
Right, exactly.
Like you need the media, but you also need to like protect yourself.
Exactly.
So it's interesting that she's kind of found a way to balance those two things.
Yeah, it seems like she's figured out how to do it. The article says She only agrees to interviews now if she feels a connection with the interviewer
Okay.
or if she's really passionate about the project.
That makes sense.
So she's basically saying, like, I'm not going to waste my time
Yeah.
on something that feels superficial or exploitative.
Right. It's got to be meaningful.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like quality over quantity for her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's working. She's still like a huge name in fashion.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So speaking of like choosing your moments carefully, let's talk about Frank Ocean.
Oh, yeah. He's like the king of mystery.
He is. He's so private and elusive. But then in 2019, he did something that surprised a lot of people.
What's that?
He made his Instagram public.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal for him.
It was. It was.
So was he trying to, like, connect more directly with his fans?
It seems like it, yeah.
Okay.
He was quoted in the article saying he wanted to foster dialogue and discourse.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it seems like he was looking for a more authentic way to connect. Right, because with social media, you can kind of like cut out the middleman.
Right. You can bypass the media and just speak directly to your fans.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because he didn't just start posting selfies and stuff.
Yeah, what did he do?
He was engaging in conversations about social issues,
Okay.
sharing his thoughts, challenging his followers to think critically.
So he's not just using it for self-promotion.
No, it's more than...
It's like he's using his platform to make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to another actor who's kind of interesting,
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, yeah, I love him.
He's amazing. He's such a talented actor.
Such a great actor.
But he really dislikes the promotional side of things.
Really?
Yeah, he's not a fan of like those quick sound bites
Okay.
or the impersonal press conferences.
I can see why.
Yeah, it can feel really inauthentic.
Yeah, it's like you're just churning out these prepackaged answers.
Right. And he's someone who seems to really crave depth and substance.
Yeah, he seems like a deep thinker. Yeah.
Okay, so how does he handle interviews then?
Well, he prefers one-on-one interviews.
Okay.
Or roundtable discussions.
Yeah.
Where he can really dive into the topics.
I get that.
Yeah, so he's not like totally anti-interview.
Okay.
He just wants them to be meaningful.
So he's setting boundaries.
He is. He's setting boundaries.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, if I'm going to participate in this, it's got to be worth my time.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about The Weeknd.
Okay. The Weeknd, he's got that whole mysterious vibe.
He does, yeah. Early in his career, he rarely gave interviews.
I remember that, yeah.
And the article suggests that part of it was because he felt like an outsider.
Okay.
Like he didn't really fit in with the typical pop star mold.
Yeah, he's definitely unique.
Yeah, so he leaned into that enigma.
And it worked.
It did. It became part of his brand.
Yeah, that mystery makes him even more intriguing.
Exactly.
So it's like The Weeknd embraced the mystery while Frank Ocean tried to like control the narrative by being more open.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's interesting how they both took different approaches.
They did, but they both achieved a similar outcome.
Yeah, they both kind of like protected themselves.
Right, they both found a way to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But on their own terms.
On their own terms, exactly.
Okay, and then we have J. Cole.
J. Cole, okay.
He took a 4-year break from media appearances.
4 years. Wow.
Because he was just tired of the shallowness of interviews.
Yeah, he's been pretty vocal about that.
He has. He said he felt like they were missing the point.
Like they weren't asking the right questions.
Yeah, they weren't engaging with the real issues.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the gossip and the drama.
It is. It is.
And forget about what's really important.
Exactly, yeah.
So it makes you wonder, like, are we part of the problem?
As fans.
Yeah, like, are we perpetuating this culture of superficiality?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It's something to think about.
It is. It is.
So we've talked about a lot of different celebrities here.
We have.
And it seems like there's no one right way to handle this whole interview thing.
There isn't, no.
But what's interesting is that they're all like pushing back in their own way.
Right. You're taking control.
They're taking control.
And it's a trend that seems to be growing.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of this.
I think so, too.
It's like a new era of celebrity.
Exactly.
Where it's not just about being famous.
Right.
It's about being intentional with your platform.
Yeah. It's about having a purpose.
Exactly.
All right. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from this conversation?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that fame doesn't have to be a one-way street.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be about constant exposure
Right.
and like pandering to the media.
Yeah.
It can be about authenticity,
Yeah.
intentionality.
Big connection.
Exactly. Connection.
Yeah, I love that.
It's about shifting the power dynamic
Right.
and redefining what it means to be a celebrity.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah. And it's a reminder that we all have the power to shape our own narratives.
Whether we're in the spotlight or not.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a great note to end on.
I think so, too.
So thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
This was fun.
It was a good one.
Yeah, really interesting.
And to our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Which celebrity's approach resonated with you the most?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah, and how does this conversation make you think about your own relationship with celebrity culture,
Yeah, good question.
with media, and with the stories you choose to share with the world?
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes you think, like, what am I actually looking for when I read about celebrity?
Right. Are we, like, trying to connect with them on some level?
Or just wanting the gossip, you know?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, probably.
It's like human nature to be curious about other people's lives.
Especially when they're living these, like, larger-than-life kind of lives.
Right, exactly. And with social media, it's like we have this window into their world.
It's almost too easy to get caught up in it.
It is. But that also makes it more important to be mindful.
Yeah, mindful of what we're consuming and why.
Exactly. Like, are we just feeding the gossip machine, or are we looking for something deeper?
Which is why I think it's so interesting to see these celebrities pushing back against the whole interview thing.
Right. They're like, I'm not going to play this game by your rules.
It's kind of empowering, actually.
It is. It's like they're saying, I'm going to define my own terms of engagement.
And that resonates with people.
It does, especially in this age of, like, information overload.
We're bombarded with messages all the time.
Constantly. It's exhausting.
So to see someone take a stand and say, I'm not going to participate in this frenzy, it's kind of refreshing.
Totally. It's like they're giving us permission to do the same.
To set boundaries, you know.
Right. To prioritize authenticity over, like, constant self-promotion.
It's about reclaiming our attention and our energy.
Focusing on what truly matters.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway for you?
That's a good question.
What do you hope our listeners will walk away with?
For me, it's this idea that fame doesn't have to be a one-way street.
Okay, I like that.
It can be about intentionality,
Yeah.
authenticity, connection.
Instead of just like constant exposure.
Exactly. It's about shifting the power dynamic
Redefining what it means to be a celebrity.
in the digital age.
Well said. That's a great note to end on.
I think so, too.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It was really fascinating.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what you think.
Which celebrity's approach resonated with you the most?
And why?
How does this conversation make you think about your own relationship with celebrity culture?
With the media.
With the stories you choose to share with the world?
Lots to think about.
Until next time, keep diving deep.